Well, hello. In this video, we are going to be describing the flow of matter through the carbon and nitrogen cycles. So basically, how do things get cycled through? So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the carbon cycle. Alright, you need carbon in yourself actually to be considered living. So right now we know that there is a lot of carbon in the atmosphere, and it's in the form of carbon dioxide. I'm going to sort of walk you through this cycle because it looks a little overwhelming. Alright, we have carbon dioxide in the air. It is taken in by a plant through photosynthesis. Photo what? That is WOG. Yes. Remember, water, sunlight, this is carbon dioxide, hence the carbon dioxide, and this plant, right, takes it in and it makes oxygen and glucose, and that's the other side, respiration. It took that carbon dioxide, it made oxygen and glucose, which then is used for respiration to make water, ATP, yes, ATP, which is energy, and carbon dioxide, which puts it back into the atmosphere. Alright, other organisms are going to also get carbon from this plant when it eats it, and then when the plant dies, it also will release carbon, and the mushrooms, like the things that decay it, also get the carbon from the plant. Alright, when this plant dies, or really when anything dies, it releases carbon like deep into the ground. That's what creates a carbon sink, and that's basically where all of our natural resources are. So natural gas, oil, coal. So basically, the resources that we're relying on now, like to run our cars, like that's been underground for thousands and thousands of years because everything that died and is there. Now we're like pulling on it, and that's how like we run cars, and when we run our car we release that carbon dioxide back in the air. Similarly, like when the plant is decaying, it can also release part of the carbon dioxide back into the air, and part of it will go into the ground. If I burn a plant, like deforestation in the Amazon and taking down all of that stuff, then that's also releasing carbon dioxide. When I increase the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that means that I'm sort of creating this blanket over our atmosphere, and that's going to increase our global temperature, which is going to contribute to climate change. Climate change isn't a thing that's like debated by scientists, it's a thing. And humans are responsible for it because there's a 100% correlation between releasing more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and our planet warming, and with that becomes like a lot like harsher storms, because a lot of like everything's out of whack. All of this carbon that's supposed to be underground is now being released. That's not supposed to happen. So unless we reduce the amount of carbon that we're burning, like things are just going to get worse. So that was the carbon cycle. Is a little fun political facts for you. Down here is the nitrogen cycle. Okay. You have nitrogen in the atmosphere. About 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, not oxygen. Oxygen makes up like 20% of it, but majority is nitrogen. However, we cannot access this nitrogen even though we need it. We need it for proteins, we need it for our nucleic acids, like we need nitrogen a lot. So what happens is it rains, and the nitrogen will go into the soil, and then in the soil, these plants have roots, and on the roots are these little bacteria on roots. They do not absorb water. They do not absorb water. Nothing to do with that. But they fix nitrogen. That means that they convert it to a usable form. So then it's as a usable form for the plant, for like the tree plant, and then like the plant, and then the animal can eat the plant and gain the nitrogen that it needs. So like when you eat your vegetables, you're getting the nitrogen that you need, which is why you should eat your vegetables. Recap. 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen. We can't use that. We can't just breathe it in and be okay. It's not in the right form. It rains, nitrogen gets in the soil, bacteria on the roots of plants absorb that nitrogen, fix it, which means converting it to a usable form. That goes into plants. We eat the plants by vegetables. We get the nitrogen that we need, and repeat. And that was your review on carbon and nitrogen cycles. And use that information to answer your next questions. Have fun.